Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I suspect I've got an idea of what and how ancient King Tut's ancient scale armor was placed in the box. So here we can see the original picture up on the laptop, up on the screen, and you can see the cross-lacing on this side, but there's none on here. There's also none here. Anyway, what I'm trying to figure out is how it's constructed. So I'm trying to do a forensic here of the armor that I've constructed and then placed it in a box to see if it matches in any way this particular armor. So kind of reverse engineering, or trying to figure out forensically how they would have placed it in a box. And I'm suspecting this section is a seam of what then begins into a sleeve. So it's about 34 to 53 centimeters in the internal space of this particular box. So this area here is not very big. It's approximately 22 centimeters from the seam to the end of where this other seam is, which is perfect for a sleeve. So this would make it an armhole, and then you've got the back which comes around, and then you've got somewhat of another armhole, which I'm suspecting the sleeve is actually fallen inside, so the armhole. And then when we look at the direction of the scales, even though my scales are different size compared to King Tut's, we can see that the arrangement of the scales is in a very similar fashion to how King Tut's is placed in the box. Now we need to take into consideration that there is different variables here, as in the size of my box, but you can see that the size of the box is a little bit bigger than King Tut's. Both you got about more than 600 on the internal, and that means that the King Tut's box would come up to about here. So up to about here in length, about 54 centimeters or something like that. Okay, so we can see that there. Okay, and then internally it would have been even more squashier. So that room that I'm getting here would be even more squashier. It'd be about 34 to 32 centimeters, say about 34 in internal measurement. Okay, so we're looking at a box that's approximately from here to about here. So probably a hand width either way, smaller than this current box that I'm using. But what's intriguing to me is that the way that the scales are curling naturally, okay, is what's helping me identify whether or not I've got it in the right position. So there is a lot here that I think anyone with a forensic background would be able to backtrack how this armor was placed in the box. And this box did not have a lid as well, so this was opened when Howard Carter discovered this particular box. So that goes to show that the armor that I've constructed here is actually very similar in the template to what original armor from the Bronze Age and even later in the early Iron Ages regarding ancient Assyrian armor as well. So now Here we can see what I'm suspecting to be underneath the armhole here, and here is underneath my armhole as well. And then you've got the layers of scales, which is the same as King Tut's in this section. Okay, here you've got the flat part of the armhole. So for example, King Tut's, you can see it kind of curves. That's the curve of the armhole. And if I was to have placed the sleeve, and this sleeve was to go across, you would get the sleeve section that would fall over the top of the whole thing. You also see how you get the curvature of the scales in this configuration. You also have that here in this configuration as well. So we can see the back, yeah, just, and we can see in this section here the rest of the armor that's in the box. And then King Tut's armor from the front was not crisscrossed. So it seems to me that the crisscross was all on the back, all the way to underarm, to where the start of the underarm section was here. And that sleeve, if I was to place it, so you can see the shoulder, you can see the shoulder here. So that would be the top line of the sleeve, and then going into the shoulder, which is the upper back, and then the underarm, the part of the lower torso, which is continuing here. Not only that, but even when you look at that crumpled up leather on this section, you can see how my leather skirt is all crumpled up in this section as well. So I don't think it's an accident. I think if this line is continued, where the sleeve, if I had a sleeve on this, because my armor is sleeveless, then you would get something that's very, very similar to the way that King Tut's armor is represented in this box.